Meeting called to order. The time is 7:01. Public portion of the meeting begins. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the rights of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of the public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this Act, the Business Administrator Board Secretary has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building, communicated to the Herald News, the Record, and filed with the clerk of the Borough of Hawthorne. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carr? Mr. Clavijo?
Here.
Ms. Erentraut?
Here.
Dr. Morell?
Here.
Mr. Palouse?
Here.
Mr. Reicher?
Here.
Mr. Shortway? Mr. Totaro?
Here.
Mrs. Gump?
Here. Please join me for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Meeting regulations. During each regular meeting, 2 opportunities are provided for citizens to ask questions and to make comments. During the first opportunity, early on the agenda, the meeting is open to the public for the purpose of addressing items listed for approval on this agenda only. The second opportunity occurs just prior to adjournment, when citizens may address any subject matter that is pertinent to and or directly related to the operation of the school district. Persons wishing to speak must, upon being recognized, rise, state their name, address, and subject matter. Comments and questions shall be addressed by the board president or the presiding officer, and shall be limited to 5 minutes per person. The board may or may not respond to issues raised by members of the public at the time they are raised, but will provide a response if and when appropriate. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Please note that the board will not respond to comments regarding students or board employees in light of the privacy rights held by those individuals. Moreover, the board discourages comments about such individuals and will not be responsible for such comments. Members of the public who choose to speak during this public session should carefully consider their comments, since they could be held personally liable for any statements they make. Finally, please note that in accordance with district policy, the board will not officially comment or respond to any matter mentioned unless it can confirm the matter has first been brought to the attention of the appropriate school personnel in an attempt to resolve the issue. Publicly heard agenda items only. Seeing as we have no one, approval of minutes, July 19th, 2022.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Clavijo, second by Mr. Totaro. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Clavijo?
Yes.
Ms. Erentraut?
Yes.
Dr. Morell?
Yes.
Mr. Palouse?
Yes.
Mr. Reicher?
Abstain.
Mr. Totaro?
Yes.
Mrs. Gump?
Yes. Correspondence. Mr. Sprito did share this with the board, but I would just like to share it with the public. New Jersey School Boards Association sent us a congratulatory letter congratulating our district and our team on finishing at the top of our division in the STEAM Tank Challenge. They were chosen from a large group of competitors. The 2021-2022 Virtual STEAM Tank Challenge included 325 student teams made up of more than 2,600 students. The final STEAM Tank presentations were held in May, and there were 112 teams competing that included more than 1,500 students. The winning teams displayed impressive ingenuity, determination, and creativity in designing, inventing products that could make the world a better place to live in. It was exciting to see how the challenge inspired so many students to learn how to apply science, technology, engineering, arts, math, and help to solve problems. This year's top team in the high school division, first place was Ridgewood High School, second place was Manasquan High School, and third place was none other than our very own Hawthorne High School with their Team Chromebook Plectros. Very exciting for them, amazing opportunity, and some good stuff. I think that's all I have for correspondence. Mr. Sprito? No. Superintendent's report, Mr. Sprito.
Thank you. So just a number of items to share tonight. So first, just to update on the referendum. We have a lot of work going on right now, especially at Hawthorne High School. But currently, things are moving along mostly as scheduled. Unfortunately, we're dealing with some delays in regard to materials, but we're doing the best we can. We're hoping to have everything completed in terms of classroom renovation, and I'll get into some of the other renovations that are currently taking place. So right now at the high school, we are renovating our art room and band room, and there are pictures on the website, and I'm trying to keep those updated as much as possible so you can take a look. We're updating 2 of our 5 science labs, with the other 3 scheduled for next summer. But this summer we have 2 of our larger science labs being renovated. We are also currently in the process of working through our interior door installation, which is happening at all of our schools. Some of the schools, the installation is done, like such as Jefferson. I believe the door installation is complete. Roosevelt is just about complete. They're working at the high school and Washington right now, as well as Lincoln. So some of those schools will not be complete before the end of the summer, but once the school year starts, they'll work second shift. Obviously, they're not going to do it during the school day. They'll start working second shift. Once all the doors are installed, then they go back and they do all the painting of the door frames and all that stuff. So that's still to come, but that is in process right now. The other thing that's in process right now is the fire alarm system. So the way that works is they are installing a completely new fire alarm system. The old system is still in place and will remain active until the day that they switch it over. So there will never be downtime with our fire alarm system. The old system is currently active and working, and as soon as the installation of the new system is done and is tested and everything is complete, then they'll switch over to the new system, and then they'll come back and remove all the old smoke heads, things that are in the hallways. They'll all be removed. So that again will not be done before the end of the summer, and they're working right now on that project. Again, going to school. Once everything is completed, when school starts, they'll work second shift on that. The other thing that's happening at all of our schools are generator installations. So we'll be putting generators at all of our schools. Some of the work, you'll see it at Lincoln School. They just poured a new pad out on the playground, outside the cafeteria. And again, they're working through that process. That's going to take about a year because some of the equipment is delayed. So that project will basically go on all school year and will be done probably until next summer at the earliest. All right, but those are currently the things happening at the schools. There's a lot of things to be excited about. These classrooms are going to be amazing when they're done. I can't wait to see them finished. And I know Mrs. Goff and I have been discussing the possibility of offering an open house or some tours early in the school year to share and show off some of the renovations that have happened over the last few years that people haven't had a chance to see because of COVID. So stay tuned, but we'll be communicating when those events will take place. We'll continue with our one-to-one initiative in grades 6 and 9 with our students getting new devices. That's our process each year. Our 6th graders and 9th graders get new devices, and those old devices are then filtered down to the elementary schools. So that distribution for 6th and 9th graders will take place over the next couple of weeks. I thank Mr. Mankage and the technology department for organizing. It's a lot of work that they have to get these Chromebooks and get them prepared and labeled for all of our new 6th graders and our new devices for our 9th graders each year. I can tell you that our 6th graders, their first laptop pickup is scheduled for this week, Wednesday, August 17th at 2:30, which is at the end of leadership camp for those students who are there. And there'll be a second pickup for any other students who are not available on Monday, August 30th at 9 a.m. at Lincoln Middle Schools. Students entering 9th grade, their scheduled dates for those pickups are Monday, August 29th and Tuesday, August 30th. And you'll be getting communication from the high school administration with more details in terms of that pickup for our incoming 9th graders. So we're excited to continue that one-to-one initiative. And I can tell you, with these devices being transitioned to the elementary schools, we're getting very, very close to being a one-to-one district pre-K-12. Although our pre-K and K students are mostly using iPads, not so much Chromebooks, but we are very close to being a pre-K-12 one-to-one district. So it's a great thing. It's exciting for our students, and it's nice to have that technology available for them. Switching gears, practices for all of our fall sports teams have either started or will be starting within the next week. That includes all of our fall teams, our football, soccer, volleyball, our cheerleaders, our marching band. They're having their band camp. I believe it's next week, the band camp, scheduled for next week. So we're excited, to have all of our teams begin. Looking forward to a new fall season, an exciting fall season. I just want to wish them all good luck as they begin their practices and preparations for the season. I mentioned leadership camp. That began yesterday, August 15th. There's approximately 102 students participating. I had an opportunity to speak to our campers yesterday, to welcome them and just talk a little bit about the camp. Of course, I want to thank the Mayor and Council, Chief Knepper, Sergeant DeLallo, and all the members of the Hawthorne Police Department, not only for making it possible, but for these, police officers who spend the week with our sixth graders. For those of you who've had children who've participated in the program, my children have, it is an extremely worthwhile program. The kids truly benefit from being there, and I just want to thank everybody who makes it possible for us. And I also have to mention the Municipal Alliance, because they support that program as well. And the Culmination Ceremony, for anyone who's interested, is Friday, August 19th at 1 o'clock at Lincoln Middle School. So if you're interested in attending, that's when it will take place. New teacher orientation. We have a number of new teachers this year, so that is scheduled for August 29th through 31st. It's the 29th, 30th, and 31st. Dr. Tribona organizes a great program each year. We look forward to officially welcoming all of our new staff to Hawthorne. We have many new people joining this year, so we're excited about that. Mrs. Goff talked about the STEAM Tank Challenge. Obviously there were our seniors in our STEM capstone class last year, and basically what they created, they called it Plectros, and it was a keyboard that would charge the device as you're typing. It would charge the device. That was basically their product. And actually, we were told that we should patent it and protect it before somebody steals the idea. So the kids did a great job, and it was TJ Marks, Tina Barsby, Becca Gehring, and Olivia Desant who were part of that group. They did a great job. So congratulations again to them. And finally, I want to share that the district's been working with New Jersey school boards to schedule dates for and update our strategic plan. The meetings are scheduled for October 4th, October 11th, and November 1st, all Tuesdays. But don't worry, we will be communicating that information. We'll be sending out official announcements from the district just to communicate that information of those dates. We're anticipating that will be at the high school. And again, we'll send out, there'll be plenty of communication prior to those dates just to make sure everybody's aware. And we hope you're able to attend and be part of that very important process as we move forward into the new school. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Sprito. Curriculum and instruction, Mr. Reicher.
Thank you, Mrs. Count. Thank you, Mrs. Count. Pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Committee on Curriculum and Instruction recommends the following resolutions: CI1 through CI7 on page 3, CI8 through CI22 on page 4, CI23 through CI30 on page 5, and CI31 through CI34 on page 6. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second. Thank you both. Moved by Mr. Reicher and seconded by Dr. Morrell. Any discussion?
Question. Mr. Fredo, could you comment on the William Patterson University student? Is that a special ed student?
Yes, it's a special ed student.
And what does the university do for it?
My understanding is he's attending the program at William Patterson next year. We have another student, who's at the community college. This particular student is attending Patterson.
Good, thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Flavino?
Yes.
Ms. Arontraut?
Yes.
Dr. Morrell?
Yes.
Mr. Deleuze?
Yes.
Mr. Reicher?
Yes.
Mr. Tutaro?
Yes.
Mrs. Goff?
Yes. Ms. Ehrentraut, personnel? Thank you, President.
The following resolutions are pursuant to the recommendation of the superintendent. P1 and P2 on page 6, P3 through P15 on page 7. Bear with me, there's a bunch. P16 through P30 on page 8, P31 through P43 on page 9, P44 through P46 on page 10, P47 through P55 on page 11, and P56 and P57 on page 12. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Aaron Trump, seconded by Mr. Totaro. Any discussion?
I have one comment. There are a lot of new hires on here, so welcome to our district. As Mr. Sprigo said, you will be attending new teacher orientation, and we are glad to have you join our team. Any other discussion?
Right here. Just can't help but to notice all the movement and the agenda. It's been a very busy summer for the administrators. Just to piggyback on, I think the point that was made at the last meeting, it's an industry-wide situation, you know, with the lack of educators and staff for the school districts. So we're not, you know, it's not unique to Hawthorne, and you know, the district is doing what they can to meet all the staffing needs.
Thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Clavito. Anyone who
I was literally going to say the same thing, Mr. Clavijo, that if the public was looking at our board agenda, I can see that there may be some concern about why was there so much movement or resignations or new hires. And as someone who works in a school district in Bergen County, we have our board meeting August 30th, and we probably have about the same number of personnel pages as well. It is an issue not only unique to New Jersey, but if you follow along in the news, it's a world, United States issue of teacher shortages or people just moving. So I wanted to throw that out there. I didn't want the public to think that there was something specific to us in Hawthorne and somehow, I don't know, people don't like us and are leaving or something like that. It's unfortunate the situation that we're in with this. So I also too wanted to just make that comment if there was a concern as to why there's so many pages. I can only vouch and give anecdotal evidence from districts in Bergen County. There you go.
I can do the same from a district in Morris County. So absolutely, we are all in the same boat. You know, we, as board members, we are often on the ball field and hear the rumors that are going around. I do often share them with Mr. Sprigo, who doesn't want to be on social media, but I tell him everything is on social media anyway. He gets screenshots that he doesn't want to see probably from me, but he did do a tally. You know, there are some very high numbers circulating, and he was kind enough to go in and look through and sort of tally things for us. And as of August 2nd, I'm not sure if this number has changed.
Yeah, it's not proper.
As of August 2nd, there were 26 teachers and 4 administrators who either resigned or were non-renewed. While that is slightly higher than what we typically have experienced in Hawthorne, it is commensurate with what we're seeing in other counties, other states. I mean, other parts of the country are in much more dire need. Florida, Arizona, and they're letting people come right out of high school and go into teaching. They're lowering their credentials. So this is a post-pandemic byproduct that nobody saw coming. Teachers are, you know, rising up and seeking alternate pay. And those in the non-teacher world don't understand pay scales. So once you're in, you're in. And the only way to get higher money is to go somewhere else. So we are sad to see people go, but yes, we do not want the public to think that it is something indicative of Hawthorne. It is absolutely not. It is happening everywhere.
The problem is so large, countrywide. I read somewhere that there's districts outside of New Jersey that are going into 4-day schedules.
Yes.
Because they can't see,
Yep.
I actually saw something on a news clip I was watching, and the Midwest areas, more rural areas, are in dire need because at least around here we have such a large population. You can draw people in, whatever you may need to do. But this one thing I was watching, it was really interesting because they were trying to actually offer the sign.
Yes, yes.
I can add that New Jersey is trying to be proactive to change some of the laws in the future when they're going to hire teachers. And one of the hottest topics right now is a thing called Edtpa that I think if you've been hired since 2014, you have to videotape and send in lesson plans for student teaching in your first year. And it costs $300 to send to Pearson Education. And you need to do that in New Jersey so you can get certified. You need credits to pass the practice test and this Edtpa. The House and the Senate unanimously, both parties have voted to get rid of the Edtpa, and many teachers going in their senior year or starting in school districts are hoping that before September 1st, Governor Murphy signs it into law. It's already been passed by the House and Senate. And one of the things, if you ever learn about this Edtpa, they're saying the test is racially biased. The test doesn't help when you're looking for teachers and you're making it more difficult, to get certified, and it doesn't really raise the standard of teachers if they have to pass this additional thing when they're videotaping and sending in lesson plans when honestly they're just first learning how to teach. They're not going to be master teachers. Nobody would, their senior year in college or the first couple of years when they're teaching. But currently that's the requirement, so hopefully before September 1st that gets signed into law that there's no more Edtpa. And just on a secondary note on that, there's a lot of other states in the country that have done the same thing. They had this Edtpa and they eliminated it to try to get more teachers in all the school districts.
Well, welcome to all of our new staff. To echo what Ms. Erentraut was saying. Roll call, please.
Ms. Erentraut?
Yes.
Dr. Morrell?
Yes.
Mr. Kalous?
Yes.
Mr. Reicher?
Yes.
Mr. Tutaro?
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoughton?
Yes. Finance and Administration, Mr. Clavijo.
Thank you, Ms. Goff. Finance Administration, action items, page 12. Pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Committee on Finance and Administration recommends the following resolutions, F1 through F4. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Clavijo, seconded by Mr. Kalous. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Dr. Morrell?
Yes.
Mr. Kalous?
Yes.
Mr. Reicher?
Yes.
Mr. Tutaro?
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo?
Yes.
Ms. Erentraut?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoughton?
Yes. Claims. Mr. Carr could not be with us this evening, but he did review the bills and let us know that everything looks okay to him. So I'm looking for a motion to pass the claims agenda item.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Clavijo, second by Mr. Kalous. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Kalous?
Yes.
Mr. Reicher?
Yes.
Mr. Tutaro?
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo?
Yes.
Ms. Erentraut?
Yes.
Dr. Morrell?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoughton?
Yes. Buildings and grounds, Mr. Carr, in light of his absence, Mr. Tutaro, would you like to step in?
Absolutely. Pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Committee on Buildings and Grounds recommends the following resolutions. VG1 to VG3 on page 13, carried through on page 14. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second. Moved by Mr. Tutaro, seconded by Ms. Erentraut. Any discussion?
Yes, can I, sorry for the late question, I didn't think to ask this earlier. Is there any update with our transportation situation compared to last year? Is it looking a little bit more rosy? I don't know how to put that, but you know what I mean? I don't know.
The bids that we're receiving are very expensive. The good news is that there are some routes that we've been able to jointer with neighboring towns going to a similar place. The risk of that is if the other town drops out, right? If the student moves, no longer goes to that program. So right now, fingers crossed, it's somewhat on budget, but I'm gonna leave that right.
I heard her say Rosie.
You want to knock on wood?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do want to knock on wood.
Okay, I just remember last year, just as we were just concerned right now what we said about teachers, we were in the same boat with bus drivers. There's such a shortage and no routes or anything like that, so I just thought about that now to ask, I'm sorry, so.
No, it is a very concerning situation. We can keep an eye on it, but as you'll recall, we increased the budget for that this year, knowing that it was going to continue continuation this year. So as of right now, as I said, we're pretty much on budget, but we don't have all the routes yet.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Eicher?
Yes.
Mr. Tutaro?
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo?
Yes.
Ms. Erentraut?
Yes.
Dr. Morel?
Yes.
Mr. Kalous?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott?
Yes. Policy, Dr. Morel.
Pursuant to the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Committee on Policy recommends the following resolutions. PO 1 on page 14 and PO 2 on page 15 on behalf of the committee. I always forget what to say. I so move. There you go. I'll get it right one of these days.
Well,
Second.
moved by Dr. Morel, seconded by Mr. Totaro. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Tutaro?
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo?
Yes.
Ms. Erentraut?
Yes.
Dr. Morel?
Yes.
Mr. Kalous?
Yes.
Mr. Eicher?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott?
Yes. Committee and liaison reports. Mr. Carr is not here, but Mr. Totaro did take notes for him during the buildings and ground session. Would you like to share?
Thank you, Madam President. If you don't mind, I'll go right into council liaison right after that. Great. So on behalf of Mr. Carr, the Buildings and Grounds Committee met on August 9th at the Hawthorne High School to walk the various work being performed through the referendum projects as well as other improvements taking place throughout the district. At Jefferson, there was the drainage work at Jefferson School, which needs to be addressed prior to repaving the parking lot. We received 3 quotes for the work and are planning to move forward with GM Builders Group. Mr. Clavijo will speak on the maintenance reserve a little bit more, but obviously those funds will be appropriated towards Jefferson drainage work. As well as at the high school, as previously mentioned, during the walkthrough, we got to observe updates with the science classrooms, the art and music rooms, the door upgrades, the ongoing fire alarm upgrades, as well as the brand new gym floor, which, as you may know, was a byproduct of an issue that happened in the roof, with the roof in the gym. I'm also excited about the students and staff arriving back to school and seeing the improvements and utilizing the renovated classrooms and all the benefits and safety provided with this work. I can't stress enough, I really, really hope the public has the opportunity of seeing it. It's really just amazing to see what's come out of this referendum and all the good work that's transpired. But you know, seeing it on a photograph is one thing, but to be in the classroom and seeing it in person is really spectacular and it's rewarding. That being said, going into council liaison, as per my review of the council meeting from July 27th, the following was shared by Mayor Lane in his administrative report related to the Hawthorne School District. The mayor thanked everyone for participating in the National Night Out, which took place on August 2nd. There were many giveaways, activities, and opportunities to meet with the various emergency services. It was a wonderful evening, and hope more people will come next year to learn about what an amazing group of selfless individuals we have in our town that serve and protect us. The mayor went on to remind everyone about Hawthorne Day, which will be on September 24th this year. And lastly, I would like to personally congratulate the promotion of Sergeant Hayes and Lieutenant LaFury. Other than that, this concludes my report as pertains to the school district.
Thank you, Mr. Totaro. Mr. Clavijo, Finance and Administration.
Thank you, Madam President. The items discussed as it relates to the Finance Committee included the Jefferson drainage, which Mr. Tutaro expanded on. As seen in the agenda, there was a draw from the maintenance reserve account of $450,000, which will be used for the repairs throughout the school year, including the Jefferson drainage, as previously discussed, some masonry work at LMS. As in previous years, any funds not used during the school year will be returned to the maintenance reserve account. Also, in discussion was the issue with the paraprofessional services. The district is doing what we can to address the shortage in that particular segment of the staff. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Clavijo. Ms. Erentraut, Ms. County School Boards Association?
St. County School Board is very quiet over the summer, but hopefully next month we'll have some updates for you.
Thank you, Ms. Aaron. Same for New Jersey School Boards. As Mr. Cerrito said, we did speak with our representative, Pascalilla, who graciously allowed us to put those meetings on the calendar. We can get the information to the public as soon as we can. Flyer, I'm sure we can run it back to school nights. We really are eager to have the feedback of the public. It went so well last time. It's often used as an example for other schools. Kathy was telling me that Mr. Cerrito state of the school, state of the union, she uses as a roadmap for other school districts. So that's always nice to hear. We're very eager to get that going up again. And that's about it. Dr. Morale, policy.
Yes, I believe we met in July, right? Okay, just making sure. So in the policies that you see that we just approved, we had discussed that, and many of the policies you saw that we approved, there are some minor changes regarding the revisions, it was just a matter of language. We did have some new policies like the dress and grooming. We didn't have a policy. We have them for staff, but not for our support staff. But that was pretty much what we discussed for our policy. We're just looking over as we continue to address from the audit that we did. We're just tweaking those other policies. And I think, are we up to date now, right? Just about?
Just about. There
Yeah.
might be a few more, but just about.
Okay. That's concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Morale. Because I know there's one member of the audience who's very supportive of this, we did pass in the second reading last month the acceptable use policy for social media for board members. We have to get that information to Mr. Doyle, I keep forgetting to text. Mr. Palouse, CPAC, PTO.
Thank you, President. Just a reminder, all the schools post on their Facebook pages. Roosevelt School posted the 22-23 class or grade parent interest form. So if any Roosevelt school parents are interested in being a grade parent, you can find the form on their Facebook page. Jefferson School does have their own website, but you can find the link to their website on their Facebook page, and they do continue to use their Facebook page, and some information is posted. You can go on to the Jefferson PTO page and see their upcoming first PTO meeting of the year, and some other information that's out there. Washington School's PTO page, they posted a supply list for parents to see the upcoming school year. And on the right side, when looking at the page, there is also a PTO membership form, so please click on that and become a Washington School PTO member. And they also posted something that I'll share, a reminder for anybody who may have forgotten to do the summer readings. You may want to jump on that because we're running out of time. And rounding off with the CPAC, last meeting we talked about not having a link. They do have a new webpage. It was sent to me. I'll talk to you about it, and hopefully we can get a new one.
Just forward it to us.
Sounds good. All right. I can move on report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Palouse. And Mr. Reicher, curriculum and instruction.
Thank you, Madam President. The curriculum instruction, we had a meeting on Tuesday, August 9th for an hour. Here's what was discussed. Item number 1, curriculum update. There's been an overhaul on the K-12 curriculum and a bit of a change. It's been updated throughout the whole year instead of just the summer, but the work has continued in the summer. Health and PE, social studies, science, world language. There's a new course, Fashion 2, that's been added to the high school curriculum. And it's exciting that all curriculum is now live in a live Google Doc and Google Drive. This allows for the curriculum to be interactive, lessons, extensions, assessments, and collaboration. And of course, it's all in real time instead of just in a database. Teachers can go in and actually use the resources that are in there when they convert everything over to Google. Item number 2, the Wipro SEP update. This is Science Educators Fellowship. 4 of our teachers have qualified. Dr. Tribona will lead this group, and she went through this program herself. And the new fellows will be in the program coming up this year. Item 3, phonics for summer training. That also has taken place June, July, and August. It's exciting that 39 new teachers and all the incoming teachers have been trained in K-5. And finally, professional development plans for the first and second day. The district is ready with inspirational speaker John Paul Gonzalez. He's going to talk about being all in. And Ashley, System, thank you. From the Diversity Committee on Restorative Practices. All the staff will hear about restorative practices. That includes speaker workshops about relationships, SEL, and tangible takeaways. And all the administrators have been through the restorative practice training over the summer, and have said that it's excellent, so our staff will get that. The first day and second day will be department meetings and getting ready for the school year. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Mr. Reicher. Publicly heard. At this time, members of the public may ask questions or make comments on educational issues or school matters and should be limited to 5 minutes in length.
Hi, Eric Bolton, 236 Lafayette. Excuse me. I have a quick question. I probably should know this, but I don't. What is the difference between non-instructional and instructional paraprofessional?
So we've always had instructional paraprofessionals throughout the district for many years.
Right.
When COVID hit, we got this ESSER money. One of the things we added was something called non-instructional. So they're not there to support our special needs students.
Okay.
They have other responsibilities. They cover the lunchroom. They help us in other areas. But they're not
Non-academic.
They're not academic.
You're
at
not
all.
tied to an IEP.
They're not tied to an IEP
Okay.
at all. They're not there to support our special needs students. They're tied on this.
So,
Especially during COVID, we had other responsibilities. of,
yeah.
You know,
I know we had a lot resigned. Those were instructional paraprofessionals that resigned?
yes.
Are those being replaced with the non-instructional part-time they're hiring?
No, they are not on the same page. Two separate pools of people, staff
Okay.
members. So we're still hiring instructional aides. And one of the things Mr. Clavijo mentioned is we are trying to, we put out an RFP for companies to supplement our district with the openings that we still have.
Right.
We actually had intended to hopefully approve one of those companies tonight, but unfortunately, the RFP were due today.
Request for proposal.
Correct, request for proposal. I'm just assuming people
I know.
Thank you.
What is it?
Like a bid.
Request for proposals.
It's
requesting companies
Yeah.
for proposals.
So
Thank you.
we sent out requests for
Design.
proposals. We got 7 submissions back. We got them today. We just didn't have a chance to vet all of those and review all of those proposals. So what we're hoping to do, we actually have to have a meeting before September
Right.
to do this, is to, if we can hire additional people ourselves, great, wonderful, we're going to continue to try to do that. If we can't, our hope is to be able to work with some of these other companies to supplement and fill those open slots. I know other
I
people
know.
are doing the same thing.
I understand that. As an educator, I get that. But there are rumblings and people are being worried, not myself, that we're outsourcing. And I keep saying we're supplementing's the perfect word. However, one of the issues I think, and I don't know if this happened, the company that we're outsourcing to is paying more than us and offering benefits to work in our school district. So I believe, and again, this is hearsay, I have no idea if this is true, that someone quit one of our paras to go work for this company. Financially, it would make sense for them, right? And they're still in our schools.
That is their choice and they're right. And
Right.
they could potentially still work for Hawthorne through the company.
Right.
That happens at the Quantico where I work all the time.
But that's not guaranteed.
It's not guaranteed.
It's not, no, they can put you anywhere.
They can, but I mean,
Absolutely. It's a
unfortunately,
risk.
we're legally compliant. We have to remain legally compliant. We have to do everything we
Of
can.
course.
We can't be out of compliance.
Follow IEPs and
Yeah.
documents. I'm just saying it is a concern. You know, tried to do that years ago, outsource everyone.
Listen,
But I'm just confirming that we're not doing that. It's
Yeah.
only to supplement so that we're not, you know,
listen,
we're following the
here's
law
what
or
I would say.
IEPs.
If there's anyone listening who would love to be a para, we would love to have you. So
Absolutely.
we are not outsourcing our paras. We are looking for people who would like to be instructional paraprofessionals. But if we can't fill those slots, we
Right,
have
you
to.
have to have somebody in
And
the
Scott said,
number.
we have to find another way to do it.
How
It's-
many are we looking for at this time? And
Uh,
I know you only like an
I don't
idea.
like you-
You need a lot, right?
There's a number of paras that we
Okay.
still need to replace, yes. I
And
don't want
a
to give you an
para
exact
needs
number.
an associate's degree, not even 60 credits
So,
and a background check?
well, yes, but there's also an option to do the Para-Pro assessment. That's another option. So if you don't have 60 credits, there's another avenue
Okay,
you can
because
take
I know
to
like,
become a
my
para.
sister and a couple of her friends are looking to get into education and haven't hit the 60 yet.
Yep.
And she's a high school graduate, you know, like she would love to work in our district, but she was under the
Send her off.
impression she had to have an associate's.
Do you have a number?
Well, I'm just saying, I don't think a lot of people realize that. I think that in your mind, you have to have an associate, it has to be education, when that's not, you know, that's not true.
There is
So
a
a para-pro is an
option.
exam
Yes.
that you can take outside the district privately, I'm sure you pay for it, like practice and all that.
Yes, exactly.
And you can pass and then apply for a
Yes, you
paraprofessional
can go
position
para that way. That's
through
another
the
avenue.
Frontline website.
Honestly, just have them call our office.
Okay.
At this point, we just took contact.
Maybe we could put something on a Facebook page or something locally that, I think we talked about like maybe there's some moms or dads.
My mom's retired and would love to do that. She's bored out of her mind. She's gonna kill me for saying that. She's bored and she's shopping all day, spending money, so she wants to come back part-time or do something back, you know, working with kids. I think there's a lot of those people out there right now that maybe want part or full, you know, whatever, but, it's not like, again, our website, it's not obvious that we're looking for that many or, you know, that we're actively looking, because you have to click, find the link, click on this link, go to this, then ASOP or Frontline, whatever we use, you know, so it's a little bit difficult, but thank you.
Thank you.
Just to add to Mr. Trujillo's point too, there's a lot of districts I know, they're starting to hire extra people in their human resource department, or it's part of one of their jobs for like staff recruitment. To the point where if someone comes in to interview and they're good, like, don't let them get to their car. You know, like, you have that person there and everybody's in the same, is in the same boat.
Different ballgame.
If you get a great candidate,
in
right?
education. Any other public comment, questions? Okay. General comments and questions from the board related to the district. Is there?
Two comments for me. One, as you, Mr. Cerrito and Marco mentioned, I was able to tour the high school with the Buildings and Grounds Committee, and as an alumni, it's even extra exciting to see how beautiful the gym, the band room, the art room, the science room, how everything really is coming together. So can't wait for the public, like Abby mentioned, to hopefully see it. Second, I'd like to congratulate our colleague Marco, who became a certified school board member. I'm working towards it, and I'm super happy for Marco that he's achieved it. Congrats.
Any,
Just to piggyback on Ms. Erntrop, thank you, Mr. Cerrito, for setting up the tour. It just like Mr. Tatar mentioned, it's something else to actually see it in person. It's exciting. The high school, just be at the music room, what that's going to look like, it's just exciting. So thank you for setting that up. I also had the opportunity to be at the inauguration for Leadership Camp. Again, one of those, I think Leadership Camp is emblematic of what Hawthorne is all about. You know, how it takes a village to raise a child. That just amplifies that, everybody coming together. The energy that the police department has, the current teachers, prior teachers, is just, it's contagious. So I'm glad I had the opportunity to stop in at that point. Also want to welcome the candidates that are in attendance. It's always good to see candidates that are pursuing a position to come and partake in the meetings that they hope to be part of at some point. There's always a need for healthy interest in the school board. We're glad that the interest is there. Nobody up here is perpetual, so it is absolutely a good thing to see a healthy interest in it. The process itself of the election process, when it's contested, it allows for an exchange of ideas, hearing, sometimes you tend to get tunnel vision once you know what you can't do, so it's always energizing to see, naive is not the right word, but just say innocent approach as to what the district could be. So we look forward to the process. And again, welcome to you both for coming out here.
Mr. Tatar?
Yes, if I may. Two things. One, congratulations to all of the new staff members that are joining. And second of all, if there's ever a doubt, and there's been a lot of hearsay or people making comments about students within our district, if you didn't get a chance to see the STEM project with the Plectros, I gotta tell you, it was one of the most fascinating things to be a part of when I was able to watch the presentation. I can't believe that these kids are in high school and came up with such an idea that far exceed probably college students, let alone a career job, and that they were able to come up with such an idea. It really was rewarding and satisfying just to know that we have students within our district that have that kind of wherewithal and mindset to put something together that was so far reach, right? And just a brilliant idea. Really exciting. So congratulations again to them.
Do we have that on video? Do you have anything that?
It was amazing. I mean, I don't even want to say it because I feel like I want to like.
It's on the YouTube
Yeah.
channel? Okay, I'm gonna look and promote it on that.
It's on the Steam Train Challenge page too.
The school board, yeah.
Yeah.
The school board one.
That's where I saw it.
Yeah,
I will find
If they don't get a patent for that, I don't know.
yeah,
It's
that's so
something not right in the world.
awesome. It was really cool.
The thing is, there's so many other applications for that really should,
It's brilliant.
I don't know.
Because if you take what they did and you can apply that in so many other areas besides what
Right.
they did, it was just.
Rick, did they patent it, or is that a school thing that they would have to
We were working with our board attorney to try to
figure that one out?
It's something they recommended that we do.
Yeah, that was one of the, I remember the,
Yeah, I think also Mr. Bob Pasquale was trying to help them out with that too.
Yes.
He helped them with the, you know.
yeah, one of the judges, I think, even said it in
Yes,
one of the presentations,
right.
like, you guys really should get a.
Yes, right.
That's great that they allow them to maintain the patent because the first capstone we did, I believe, the company. Remember that first one we did with Dr. Shimona? But it was a specific company and they maintained the patent. So anything our kids did for them, they got the right to. So this is awesome that these kiddos did.
Awesome.
Anybody on this side? General comments? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Booth. Yeah, sure. You didn't speak up?
We can come back.
No, go ahead, buddy.
I'm very shy.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Mr. Sprito, you mentioned 102 students at the leadership camp. And to reiterate what everybody says, when your kids go through it, you see how important it is. So if your kids are younger at this point, you have to consider putting them in unless you're away. My question is that the majority of the class? Is it 100? Right. Either way,
56, I believe, in the class. So 102, not bad.
Yeah. I'm sure they're all going to be very happy that they attended. During the finance committee notes, you mentioned the roof at the high school. Is that in good shape at this point, you think?
The gym roof you're talking about?
Yeah.
So, yes.
The lack of rain helped.
Yes, the lack of rain has helped a lot. No, yes, we believe that, we did the repointing around the top of the gym, the exterior. That was completed. They believe that there was an area where the flashing, they had to come and reseal. But again, knock on wood, we believe that all the areas have now been addressed.
You were testing it?
They've been up there numerous times with hoses testing. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we've been up there testing. They believe that they have found all the weak points.
Good.
And then it should be good.
Thank you. And then last comment, I was not able to make the tour, so if we do something again, that would be awesome. But a few years ago, I think, before COVID, there was times where class reunions would be happening and we would invite past
So
classes.
when classes, there are times where classes, if they have reunions and request tours, we'll provide them.
Okay.
I toured my own closet right now. We had a reunion. But yes, there are times where the classes will ask for a tour, and we'll happily provide it. So if you're having a reunion, and you'd like a tour, we're happy to provide it.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing, especially if you've been out for a long time.
Yes.
Not me, I mean people over here.
I agree. I think we owe the public who supported the referendum the opportunity to come in and see where their money went. I 100% agree with you.
It just has an alarm line, like you guys have mentioned. You see that a lot of it looks the same, but yet there's so many upgrades that we have on top.
Still,
Yes.
Community center, 3 science labs.
Music room.
I can't wait to see that.
You're gonna wait.
I better, my son can't go in there.
Yeah.
But we did support it.
He's been working in the summer, correct?
Yes.
He's been in there, I've talked to him about it. He's been checking. He's been checking on it.
Sure, yeah.
Yes, he has.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blues. Anyone on this side? General comments? Dr. Morrell? Mr. Raisher?
Go ahead. Ladies first.
Okay, thank you. I just want to echo again the leadership camp. All 3 of my children attended that. It's also a great opportunity for the students to bond as you have all the elementary schools coming together. I know one thing that all 3 of my kids loved was the challenge to how to unlock your locker as quick as you can. They always try to get better each time, the faster. Little things, but that's what they love. So again, to Mr. Blues, what you said, if you're watching, and even though you don't have a middle school year, but they're coming up, that's really something we really encourage you to do. I also want to welcome all our new staff members. I am so excited for the new school year. It's always, for us in education, it's like our Happy New Year type part. So there's always these hopes and dreams and aspirations and the whole new school year. So I'm always excited for that. I also wanted to amplify a message I received. So if you're a high school parent, you should have received an email from Mr. Feister, our new high school principal, and he is, I guess, inviting students to come and speak with him to talk about the strengths of the school and things that they can do to improve. So there's student open forums, August 24th to 26th. I hope you have that email. I just think that it's I really kudos to Mr. Feister. I know that's something I've always advocated about, the importance of student voice. They're one of the, why wouldn't we ask our students what life is like in school? They spend a good majority of their time there, that they should be considered a part of that. How do we continue to improve the school? So I just wanted to acknowledge Mr. Feister for providing this opportunity to our students, and to really encourage the parents who may be watching to kind of nudge their kids, because some kids may not go on their own. So I'm already working on mine. So we'll see. Hopefully, if I could drag her there, I would, but it has to come from her. But I'll keep being a nuisance in her ear. This one, the next topic, Mrs. Burrito, is more of a question or a suggestion, or however you want to go with that. Regarding the strategic planning moving forward, if it's possible to send out any communication in translation in Spanish or something like that, I would be more than willing to translate to anybody in the community. I only translate in Spanish, but I'd be more than happy to help any Spanish-speaking parents, community members who want to take part in the strategic planning. I don't want them to feel excluded because of the language barrier. They obviously have children in our schools or have moved to our community, and they should definitely be a part of that process. So it's just a suggestion I'm throwing out there, that it's considered that perhaps we send that communication in Spanish. I have no more comments.
Thank you, Dr. Morrell. Correct me if I'm wrong, but our entire website is translatable.
Yeah, but I'll translate the document itself, so we send it out, it goes out in English as well. We can have it translated.
But on the
Yes.
website, anything on there can be
Yeah, well,
in
yes,
series.
if it's not an attachment, it's an attachment, you
Okay.
can't translate it. If it's written on the website, it will translate, but if it's just like a PDF that's attached,
I mean, if we collectively think, so Kathy did ask if we were gonna do a pre-attendance, like send out an invite and see who we got back. We did not do that in the past, so Mr. Cerrito and I did not think that we should do it going forward. But you do raise an important point, Dr. Morale, and if you do think that we have community members who there may be a barrier, and maybe we need to look into hiring a translator, do you think? Or we would probably have to know that someone said we would, the need was there.
And it's all second, absolutely, there's a need, no doubt about
Okay,
it.
so just anticipate it and then promote it as such that we will.
If the students will be bilingual, parents not necessarily so. And Dr. Morales, sometimes that barrier makes you feel unwelcome because you're not going to understand.
And if we go into it advertising that there will be a translator, then maybe that would
Yes,
that's how.
so, I recall when I used to teach in Patterson, I know Patterson has this multilingual community, but when they would have these type of community forums, I actually felt it was a little bit like the United Nations. They like legit had a person with the headphones or whatever, and someone was translating live as they were talking. Now again, obviously that took preparation to know who was coming, who was not coming. But if we promoted it already, like this is opening it up to you, we're gonna provide these resources if you need it.
Yes.
I just think, and maybe it's a stipend or something to one of our own teachers who wouldn't mind coming to do that. I don't know. I just wanted to throw it out there because I just thought as our community continues, the Latino population continues to grow. That's not to say that every Latino is not English speaking. But I just think that if we at least put it initially out there that this will be provided to you if you want to participate, I think that might increase some additional support.
It's a smart move to do it ahead of time and not be reactive because they won't come. In Spanish, we think people play to the largest other area language of me. I guess you have to look at your ESL numbers, right, your natives, like
I think Arabic too.
I would
think
say Arabic
was gonna be.
That would be the second one I was going to think of.
In my years back at elementary school in Washington, not every year, but for some time, for back to school night, we did volunteer translators, and that certainly goes a long way to raises engagement and infuses them into the post at that point.
Yeah, actually, now that you see the Arabic one, you're correct. Even if we don't have necessarily anyone in our community, we can touch base. Isn't there the, on Waggle? I forgot the name of that. I don't want to call it a mosque, because it's not a mosque, but.
Yes,
You
you're
know what I'm
right.
talking about?
Yes.
It's across from
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
Culmination
easy to
Ceremony.
Yeah.
understand, Giuseppe,
Right.
by the pool.
Right, pool, yeah.
That might be a nice connection with that community to see if they would be willing to participate and help support us.
Mr. Aisha?
Thank you. We did have a couple years a community outreach committee, and these are a lot of the things that were being discussed, not only for translators, but where do different types of people go to get their news, if it's on social media, what type of social media. I remember, Mr. Kavia, I asked you if there's a Facebook for people who speak Spanish, but I think at the time you said no, right?
I have a page, but there is nothing official, you know.
Yeah.
Mine is called Familias de Hawthorne. It's just with that idea, you know, but there's only so much time in the day and you need
Right.
moderators and whatnot, but there's nothing official.
No, I was just curious if there were places, even at the time, you know, if you're someone who does not speak English and you go on social media, where would you go to get your news or to find out what's happening in the community? It might not necessarily be the Hawthorne School's website, even if everything was translated, that might not be the place, you know, that you go. I second the STEAM committee that are like brilliant, like I know many of them personally, and you know, they're like incredible kids and going to incredible schools next year. Second, to good luck to all the candidates who are running in November. Thank you so much for doing it. It's great that we have so much participation. As Mr. Clavio said, instead of 3 open spots and 3 people running, we'll get a lot of new ideas. And 2 final thoughts, just the thought of everyone seeing all the referendum work. If people work a second shift or don't, you know, they can't come at night, that would be amazing video project for like the video class, like have them produce something that you can go put out on social media, even if it was little 60-second snippets of like these are things done at all the different schools. And finally, you know, it's a comment that just goes out there that, you know, K through 12, every single student's going to have a device. Okay, next item. But if you would have told me that 5 years ago, I would have probably laughed in your face. Like here 5 years ago, there was no one-to-one. So we've come a long way from no one-to-one to almost go there, even with iPads.
You
Like
didn't have Wi-Fi.
There was 12 hotspots. Come on.
I remember when I moved into town, Roosevelt did not even have Wi-Fi.
Entire district. and that's
Correct.
all that.
yeah, I had taken a tour before. I ran some board, and on top of this place was satellites, and that's how all the districts, you know, got their internet or whatever it was at the time. But it's an amazing place that it just gets thrown out there in a great way. Yeah, K through 12, everyone's going to have a device. Well, almost everyone except the pre-K students. Like that's come like a long way, and as everyone said, that really benefits the students. Those are the tools they're going to use, you know, in the future. And one quick aside, I remember when we had the students come in May in the past. I remember when I first got on the board, I said to the student, like, "What program do you use to keep notes?" And they're like, "This is it. Like, I have my pen and notebook." I'm like, "You don't use a computer to keep notes in school?" And their comment pretty much was, "There is no Wi-Fi. There's so many dead spots in the school. Even if you had a device, it wouldn't at the time, you know, work." So, thank you so much to the technology group. Get everything ready. It is a big task, as it is for everybody, you know, for the fall. And that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Reicher, who was the #1 champion for the 120 initiative. And I'm not going to say goodbye to you, but I will at a later date. Just your hard work for that alone. That's really good.
Thank you.
I would just like to state clear up one more rumor. This is the day of clearing rumors. I heard through several avenues that there are some very, very overinflated PCTI numbers out there in the public. At this point in time, I believe we have 164 students on the roster.
That's the point, right? So, it's fluctuating a little bit, yes.
That's total across all 4 grades. I had heard, you know, some egregiously higher numbers for the incoming freshman class. They alone had 120 students going to PCTI. That is not true. Mr. Spirito again did some recon for me and sent me accurate numbers. There are about 40 students, which is commensurate with the other 3 grades. About 40 from each of them are going to PCTI, and 11 are going to Roosevelt schools from that grade. So about 51 students from the outgoing 8th grade class. So just wanted to dispel that rumor. Anybody I spoke to, I told, but I don't know how far reaching that was.
Can I just add something to that?
Yeah.
I think if my math is correct, it's $2.2 million that comes out of our budget.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
So, and I know that I know when you bring it up to the county committee, they say that, well, it's the same cost per student that you pay in district. And it's not, because they get the money and we lose the money. So they compare apples to oranges. Somebody, I can't mention names, but somebody actually emailed one of them and they shared the email with me. And the ridiculousness that's out there is just that, it's ridiculous. We have people that are not being honest with the community, or with our county. They're not being honest with our county of what the true numbers are. So you cannot compare apples to oranges. It's not the same number of, not the same cost per student, no matter how you slice it. When you add to one person and take away from another, one benefits, the rest of the county suffers. You know, again, I get on my soapbox every time. I have to lose on that. So, look,
But we know.
for you, buddy.
We have an insight that many people don't have. So it's almost our responsibility to be on that soapbox, and the funding is just not fair. The laws are not fair. The amount of money that they continue to get for earmarked programs that we can't touch. It's just, there are so many things that are not fair. But we will continue the conversation. It's something that we can never stop talking about, because it's there. But I just wanted the numbers to be accurate as to how many students are out there and going, and there are really no more going this year than have gone in years past, again. So,
But projections going forward with the additional state funding that is coming,
correct,
for them to grow again,
right,
it's gonna take more
for
students.
another specific program that they're intending to do.
I'm sorry to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I may have done it, but I'll talk quick. I'm Italian and I do that with my hands. But if they add a class and they attract enough people, they actually make money like a business. If we add a class, we add a cost. If we want to add a class, we have teachers, supplies, everything that goes along with that, it's an additional cost. We don't attract more money because of that cost. They build a program, they attract more money, they grow. It's something has to be done, and something has to be done quickly, because the bigger they get, the harder it's gonna be to stop.
I keep emailing Senator Vin Gopal from the last one, so now that I have his email,
Thank you.
that's his fault, he shouldn't have given it out, but whatever. I've been emailing him,
You're a public servant and you're in the public.
correct, so I didn't forget what he said, and I'm not gonna let him forget what he told us, so.
Just talking 2 points to add to that. Every year that, from year one that I've been on the school board, which I'm going on 10 years, I've been part of the finance committee. There's never been an easy year. Each year has its challenges. So anything that adds to that actually, is challenging, especially when the numbers are, of that magnitude. And the other point is that the issue is not the students that are going out there, it's not the staff out there, it's the funding. The funding is the issue, and I think that just needs to be driven home just as much. The funding is an issue, and that's something that we need to advocate, legislators above our pay grade. And that's something that needs to be said over and over again, so, and it resonates.
You get paid?
Do we know now that we're bringing hockey to Hawthorne? I know they have some meetings that students would go to.
Students,
Yeah.
my understanding is 6 of our students will be participating.
Okay, yeah, that's why I was curious. Excellent.
Co-op, tryout.
Right.
What was the email?
Great.
Okay, I derailed that conversation, but I wanted to dispel it. New business. Before I take other comments, Dr. Morrell, I did want to open the forum to you to discuss with the greater board the Start Strong assessments. If we wanted to result in the conversation, we could do a walk-in resolution, walk-on resolution. But this would be the best forum to talk about it. You want to do that?
Sure, thank you.
I'm sorry I didn't get to you earlier in the day to say,
No,
I'm gonna
that's
call
okay.
it.
So, I'm jumping on another soapbox from funding of county vocational schools across the state to Start Strong. I shared with the board and with Mr. Spirito about, I guess, some of the top, I don't know what you call them, educational organizations for the state have written a letter to the commissioner explaining the reasons why they do not feel that the Start Strong assessment really is a sound educational decision. Start Strong last year was provided in the fall of 2021, right? Because now we're going to fall 2022. So fall 2021, because we are required to give standardized assessments. And because of the pandemic and those assessments that are typically held in the spring, they were canceled, obviously. So, but we still had to meet the requirement of giving an assessment. So the federal government gave each state how they figured out what to do that, and New Jersey came up with a Start Strong assessment, which is a very short assessment. It's about an hour, basically. That was what we were told. It was to meet that federal requirement. So I'm sure I was not alone for other educators to be shocked when it was made mandatory again. And the issue with that is all of our students just took the test in spring 4 months ago and are being asked to take a test again. and we haven't even gotten the results from the spring test. So now we're assessing to do what? So other than saying we're having another test, I was a little bit annoyed with Governor Murphy. He was live on Channel 12 yesterday, and someone asked him about the Start Strong test, and he gave a it didn't even make sense if you were an educator listening to him, whatever his answer gave. He really gave a non-answer. So I was a little bit disappointed with that. Other than to say we need data. We have data, we don't have it in our hands. So I don't know why we're giving another test. It should be optional. We have our own assessments that gives us much more specific information that the teachers can use for instruction, that we can use for curriculum. And it's just an unnecessary assessment to give, really. It's talking about over-assessment. There's no need for that. So I'm a little bit disappointed with the Department of Education talking out of both sides of their mouth, talking about getting students acclimated, and they were still over-assessing them. Especially in the beginning of the school year, when that time should be spent getting to know your children and putting systems into place. So I shared that. I know that the Bergen County Associations were working on something, so I know that there are some boards that are just submitting more resolutions. So I didn't know where we stood. So that was just me trying to advocate that, I don't know if it'll change anything, but at least we can say we don't agree with this additional assessment. It should be optional. So that's it.
Well, I thank you for bringing that to the forefront, and I wanted this discussion to happen. I don't know if anybody has any questions for Dr. Morrell, but we are almost 100% going to have another August meeting to approve the paraprofessional company that we're going with. So we could have a discussion if anybody has any questions, and then if we wanted to maybe get some, I don't know if Mr. Fogarty has wording, or we can get from other schools, and then we can add that resolution to that other August meeting as well. But I really wanted us to have time to talk about it, and Dr. Morrell to share with us, and if anybody had any questions for her or other comments. So I'll open it up.
I just concur with her. It's just a heck of a way to start the school year. Welcome back, all right? Get your device out and start taking a test. And
If I'm not mistaken too, right, wasn't it like gonna happen like immediately?
Yes, so in fall 2021, they gave you the entire month of September and October. This year, they're only giving you until September 30th, so you have to do it. Right, so if you start school, and there's some back end part, because from us on the school district, we have to upload information and get everyone. So for example, if you are a child with IEP, we have to make sure you have all your accommodations.
Sure.
So, like I know in my district, I had to pay people to come in the summer to do that, because there was no way I was gonna get that up and running if I just waited for them to start school. Because we got everything else going on with starting the school year. So it's a very tight window to do a test that, to be honest with you, even if the district uses it, the data is not going to be used. Districts are doing it because they're being mandated to. If you ask around, they're gonna tell you we really don't pay any attention to the data. So really you're testing kids just to test kids.
And to that point, just as a parent, right, non-educator, just looking at it as a parent, like your kids are just getting acclimated, right? You're just getting back into it,
They should be doing it.
right? Not automatically jumping into a test where, you're creating a negative environment, in my opinion. So it's just, I concur.
It's gonna force them to cram all kinds of stuff in the first 3 weeks just to try to see where your assessment is.
And as much as you can tell students it's not high stakes, for them it is. You
Stressful.
go in, right, it's an extra stressor.
Unnecessary stress put on these kids.
It
At the
sounds
beginning
like
of
we
the
all
year,
agree.
they should be focused on getting to know their classmates and their teacher.
Yeah.
Period.
Everything that's on the table, right? It's just another strain at that point, so.
It
I
does
can
sound
share with
like,
our county organizations about talk about just to say.
and do they have anything formatted yet, or any letters?
Not our county.
Okay, okay. Well, it sounds like collectively the board is in agreement and would support, but obviously we would need to vote on something like that. So we will, on the back end, get a resolution, and then get it on that next August.
Is there anything with school boards on this?
I can reach out to Kathy, but I have not seen anything.
School, well, that first letter I sent, that was from New Jersey School Boards. That was from the New Jersey Superintendent Association. NJEA wrote it about it. I think those were the three.
PSA is in it too.
And the NJPSA, which is the principal supervisor. So those were the 4 major educational organizations in New Jersey. They all wrote to the commissioner, also pushing back that there was that at a minimum to make it optional and not mandatory.
Ultimately, this is totally my opinion, but I'm assuming they're in some sort of agreement with the test
Oh, absolutely.
association. And it is that. It is ultimately the main goal. It is, the students won't win from this, the teachers won't win, the back end, the admin, the principals, it's, so we'll work on getting that resolution and look for it on the next August.
Thank you.
I'm curious what the penalty is if you don't give it.
You know, I mean, would it be a CUSAC problem?
So, I actually asked that question.
Oh, thank you.
So
I
here,
didn't talk to you before.
no. So this is interesting. So administrative code allows the commissioner to, the code that they cited, I have to look it up. I don't know the exact language, but it basically gives her the authority to identify different assessments. You would need a district to be bold and to challenge her because it doesn't say she has the authority to mandate. So other than not presenting, not giving the assessment, it is not tied to your federal requirements because we did that. So you're not going to lose your federal money because you gave the NJSLA, you did the DLM assessments, you did the access, we did all of the required stuff. Now, to the point about CUSAC. Well, if you're a district that's not up for CUSAC, you lose 4 points. 6 points, something like that. So it's up to a district to do that. My only concern with something like that is I feel like it sets a precedent and where you pick and choose whether or not. Ultimately, we do get our authority from, as you know, from the legislature, and we should be following stuff. So I'm not that bold to do that. Some districts that I think they're going to try not to do it and see what happens. But the answer to that is really nothing happens to you.
Thank you, Dr. Morell, for educating us on that and bringing it to the forefront. Another, point of if you're not really in education sometimes, you don't, and I mean, we are, but you're at a different level and it's great to have all those perspectives. Now opening up to anybody else's new business. This is new business that has not been discussed in the previous board agenda.
When will the interim meeting be? You said we're potentially having.
No, we're waiting. So we sent the bids to Mr. Fogarty today. As soon as he gets back to us with specifics, we'll have to schedule something.
From the end of August?
I'm hoping maybe next week. I don't know. I would say the sooner the better because we're going to have to approve someone and then begin that process of, it's not just approving them, we have to work with them, hiring staff, they have to find people, to process that.
Understood.
I'll let you know as soon as I do.
Any other new business?
I have a thought based on, some of the things we discussed about marketing and promoting. Bruce mentioned possibly taking little short video clips of the work that's done. Attracting Lincoln School students to the high school. One of the big things at the beginning of the year is pep rally. Is there any way we can possibly consider maybe taking a little bit of film, maybe having the class, be responsible. But I was thinking maybe, having some clips that maybe when LMS, or even just having it out for the community to let them see the excitement that happens in that gym the day before big pep rally, maybe just when LMS has an event in their auditorium or something, maybe having a quick clip, just to kind of get kids excited about, hey, this is where I'm gonna be headed.
We did, pre-COVID, they did, I remember, they put together a video for open house and included all clips from pep rally and different events at the beginning of the school year. I'm hoping to get back to that. You know, the problem was, it was limited in what we could do, because we weren't holding some of the events. We haven't had a pep rally. Last year, we did something outside, but it's not the same. Sure. Gym. It's just a different environment. So yeah, we want to get back to that. I actually I had a conversation with Matt Small last year. Because I told him, he's the broadcasting teacher, yeah, sorry. I told him that we need to do more from his classroom to promote what's going on in the school. And he sent me a laundry list of ideas of things that he feels like we can do next year. So we're going to get back to that. Hopefully, knock on wood again, things are normal, right? Back to normal. We can host all of these events, including our pep rally, and then we can start taking footage of that stuff and absolutely sharing it out. We need to do more of that from the high school for everybody, not just for the middle school kids, for everybody, for the community, for everybody.
I think there's a lot of miscommunication, misunderstandings, not understanding what we've been doing as a district, what you've been doing as a superintendent, what your administration, everybody involved, the progress we have made, needs to be promoted. Self-promotion, but it's important that the community understands. I hear things all the time, and I giggle and I tell people the truth of what really is happening, but that's only a few people here and there. This is an opportunity for us to maybe, reach more people.
You're right. And it's about progress, yes, but it's also about that Hawthorne vibe, that community, that heart that larger high schools can't replicate. That's what we need to capitalize on. You know what I mean? That bear spirit.
Because we do have the product, right? I mean, if you didn't have the product, you would have to face the funds. But I mean,
right.
If you have the product and all the progress that's been done thus far, I mean, I don't know if on the outside of the stairs, you can appreciate the enthusiasm from volunteers up here, but just see, to the point as far as the one-to-one initiative and the referendum, where to see how far it's come, it sucks you in,
Yeah, it does. Any other new business? Old business?
So I just want to also congratulate Mr. Totaro. Speaking of volunteers, it's a volunteer task that we do up here. It's very time consuming. We find it invigorating and rewarding, but it does take time away from other things in our life. And in addition to that, when a board member goes out of the way and they do what they need to do to become certified, and there's a lot to be said for somebody that has done that. I believe Dr. Morel also is a certified board member, right? And that.
That's right, new, sir.
I can't get the other one until I get a couple more years on the hot plate.
And it just makes the group that much stronger at that point. So, thank you and congrats.
Any other old business?
I'm going to say it one more time, just to bring it back to the forefront. Solar.
And just mic drop after that? Solar. I do want to bring something up. I did get some questions from a community organization about our COVID procedures for the fall. I did touch base with Mr. Scrito, who directed me to the website, had to walk me through how to get there. I get it. It is not very user-friendly. We're working on it. And I will speak, but please feel free to hop in. At this point, there is no new guidance from the state. Pre-COVID protocols, the most updated guidance we have received is from March 4th, and it does not sound like there will be any new guidance regarding COVID protocols. I just want the public to be aware of that.
Yeah, we've received nothing from the NJSIA. They have provided no guidance in terms of athletics at all. And the only guidance that came out, I guess last week it was from the CDC. They did provide, which was shared with school districts through our county office, the updated CDC guidance. We've received nothing from the New Jersey Department of Health or from the Department of Education in regard to guidance for September. I hope, unfortunately, the way they operate, I wouldn't be surprised if we get something like the last week of August, to have to throw something together. I hope we don't, but As of right now, the only guidance is the CDC guidance that came out.
If we don't get new guidance, do you think it would be prudent to put something, I mean, I don't know what we would say, like, we would say, oh, we're not, I mean, I don't even know how you would word it, but,
When changing the date,
right, here's our, but, I mean,
what the, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, just so, and then the other thing, Mrs. Burrito and I were just talking about it, which is that the governor just signed that for staff members who are not vaccinated, no longer have to do weekly testing. Which I know in terms of just managing that, I'm sure that's a big thing off your plate, that there's no need for that. But even with that, you still have to wait for guidance, and we don't know what that is.
Well, they give you a weekend tour, right? For testing?
It did. And, I mean, the frustrating part for me is no one ever looked at it. We collected tests and reports from October to June, and I still have files still open.
maybe
And
you
you still have to report out your COVID numbers.
Yes, we still have the nurses. Well, but I went back to
Keep those, they might need them in a couple of years.
Yeah,
right?
maybe last-
When they get around.
I
to it.
did just say maybe QSAP will ask you for that, so.
I have the spreadsheets, I thought spreadsheets of,
When we get our data from the spring testing, they can, your data.
but yeah, if we get, you know, we'll see if we get it. Right now, I mean, nothing to provide, because there's no official guidance.
I also did want to follow up with, Tamer, I'm not sure if you had a chance to look into the revamping of that handle at the end of the email, because I literally still can't get it.
Yes,
It's 10 years
we have,
in.
and we talked about it, and because we're looking to redo the website,
Okay.
we were thinking to make all that change at one time. The website and the new, instead of Hawthorne.K12.MJ.UN, we can change, we looked at that, it is an option, correct, Dana?
Okay. Awesome. For those who weren't here when I originally went on my soapbox, as a parent, I went to email a teacher and knew the first and last initial combo, but literally couldn't recall the rest of the handle. And my own children have a similar, difficulty. So I had just brought up several meetings ago, we could move towards like a Hawthorne.org or .edu or whatever, and Tamer had been looking into it and with the website, so we were just talking about that. It's just an exceptionally long, and that is used as the student login for all of their, so if you have a student, I can only see very young students or my special ed students really having a difficult time inputting that exceptionally long handle into them. But that's a great idea to just redo it all at one time. Okay, I will stop talking. Does anybody have any other old business?
I have a quick new thing to throw in here.
We'll rewind.
Rewind.
New business, go ahead.
New business, old business. There's, we had looked into one of these companies a couple of years ago. There's a company called Edlio, E-D-L-I-O. And basically what they do is it sends out one message to everybody in every single platform. And I'm just looking on their website, it says it translates that message into whatever, like over 100 different languages. So maybe it's something to look into.
Real-time translates also.
A communicator, right?
Our parent notification system, we can send a communication in a different way.
Okay,
We can do it through real.
okay. Okay.
Commands? Okay.
No.
There is no private session? So I will take a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Motioned by Mr. Blus, very vehemently seconded by Dr. Morrell. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Clavino?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Ms. Erenstrom?
Yes.
Dr. Morrell?
Good night, everyone. Yes.
Mr. Kalous?
Yes.
Mr. Reister?
Yes.
Mr. Takara?
Yes.
Mrs. Goff?
Yes. Good night, everybody. Have a restful